Welcome in and hello. Welcome to Fear Free Living. I'm Julie Lavender, and I am still experimenting with the technology here. I actually have a plan to be working on incorporating OBS and Restream to take it to another level. I love to play music for you at the beginning, either live or recorded. And once we get our OBS Restream set up, we'll be able to do that. Probably do some fun graphics and things. Although, to be honest with you, to me, it's not about the graphics. It's about the content and the connection with you guys. And many of you have been with me for well over a year when we started our journey together, many of us, through other folks sharing and streaming my work. And then we had the collapse of social media and the censoring of so many people. So now it's just me and Jesus and a few good friends. And that is just fine. Although, you know what? I'm thinking about niching down into even a smaller subset of group. Because what I'd like to do is create a Fear Free Living mastermind group where people who have heard me talk and chat with you and give you some of my best work for nothing, for free, saved you a lot of therapy time. I would like to create a working group and take a smaller group of very committed people to the next level. And if you are interested in that, I would like to work personally with no more than 10 people. Absolutely no more than 10 people. Hey, good to see you. Liberty Joe, thanks. Sorry, I'm not catching up on all my messages everywhere, but I did reach out to see what I could learn about some stuff. And I think you were the one who texted me on Telegram. So I'm working on that. But what I wanted to say, it's good to see you. Are you broadcasting anywhere? Did you show up yet? Did you get your spot? Did you get your word from God about what you're going to do? Uncle Larry's Chit Chat. I was just saying that moving into the next season, I'm looking for a few good people. I'm looking for a few good soldiers, a few good men. I am wanting to put together a mastermind group of no more than 10 people who have heard what I've done, been in the ethos of the things that I've shared, and who will work with me on slightly over a little bit over 3 months on a more intense level. I will not accept more than 10 to be in my mastermind group. And this is to get to deep roots, behavior changes, and to really begin to lock in fear-free life skills, healing, assessments, prophetic stuff, as well as very, very specific mentoring and speaking into the substance of your life and where you're stuck. So it's kind of like mentoring on steroids. It's kind of like coaching on steroids. So if any of you are interested in being in my no more than 10 person mastermind group, it is not free. It is not free. It is going to be something that is going to be costly, not extravagant, but costly time, energy, thought, money, investment, where you want to move to the next level. Ah, that's right. Larry was in kind of a prototype version of that. And maybe, Larry, you can type in some of the things that were meaningful for you. I don't know if you're aware of the power of community, especially in focused community. Part of the reason why, and this is something that Lance Wallnau talked about with microchurches. Have you heard him talk about that, and saying that one of the things that sometimes is challenging about a larger church or a larger community is that we don't niche down into the passions, the visions, the purpose, the calling, and the projects that we share with certain people to get certain stuff done. And that is something, a thing that Lance Wallnau, I think is a genius thing. I haven't seen it come to life, but he calls it micro church. That's where you identify 2 or 3 people, the Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, Daniel, small group of people that have a level of influence, passion, and determination to make a difference in their area of influence. Because Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were, all working for the king, right? And Daniel lived through a number of kings. But there was a time when these guys had concentrated responsibilities, goals, focus, and also not only concentrated goals, but they also had consequences for not doing what they needed to do. And how were they going to live out their faith under the pressure cooker of being in a pagan kingdom, right? And this is where we get the idea of the Daniel fast, and we get the idea of the Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego really going against the grain. Well, when it comes to you moving into the next place in your life, going against the grain of your old patterns, your old programming, where you have been stuck, where nobody has called you in, this is something that the larger church sometimes does not do well, because we become sometimes a cheering section. We become sort of a diffused sense of energy because there's so many different giftings, callings, purposes, right? But there is something really magic, in a good way, beautiful about being with people who have a very high degree of focus toward a certain thing. I've really got to get over me. I've really got to move past this. I've really got to make this thing happen. And so I am looking for a few good men and women who are ready to do that in a micro community of people who want that mastermind experience where you're going to go deeper. And you're like, I'm done with with circling around the toilet bowl of my issues. I really am. So it's been a while since I've even been willing to put my time and energy into a small group, intense mentoring, healing, life change focus. Because to be honest with you, this last year kind of took it out of all. I feel like we did really well, Tribe, because we excelled, we grew, we hung on, and we still have that vision that 45 is the guy. He's still in charge. There's still a great awakening happening. But it's really interesting. Isn't it interesting how when everything goes quiet and there's not a lot of stimulation from the outside that we can distract ourselves with, then it's time to do the inside work. One of the things that I find super interesting about what's happening now is I could go through my whole day based on Periscope broadcasters. I could go my whole entire day. Oops, let's make sure this gets hooked up. I could start out with, I could do Jilly. I could do Uncle Larry. I could do Lisa. I could do Greg. I could do Maggie. I could do Liberty Joe. I could then late at night, I could do Sandra. I could do Praying Medic on the weekends, or sometimes 2-3 times a week with the decodes that he did. Oh, then by all means, there was Dilly at 12, right? And afternoons, then came in Michael Beatty, came in many other broadcasters. Then I would troll and we know, and Bards of War, and X22. My whole entire life was being shaped, perhaps in a really good way, by all of these support systems. And in the last year, I'm not saying that was a bad thing. Hello, Sandra. We lived through an attempt to destroy the world, and it's still going on. If they had their way, we would have mouth burqas forever, is a sign of submission to the higher order of the elite. Hey, Maria. I mean, they're really working hard to make sure that still happens, and people are still staying in that mind control vibe, right? And so we really have lived through a traumatic world event, and the trauma of the betrayal of our systems, of our election systems, the betrayal of our media, the betrayal of our government, the betrayal of our Supreme Court, the betrayal over and over and over. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I hear lies, it feels painful. I feel the pain. So there are so many things that I can't take into my physical body. So I suppose having like the guardrails throughout the day of all these broadcasters and all this community. And there was a point in time when, I had Periscope thousands of, followers for whatever it's worth. And my last broadcast that was shared out by Dave had 30,000 views. Wow, there was this whole kind of bubbling, yeasty, bread smell in the oven growing in the midst of this danger and these unfolding world events, right? I think we gave each other hope. I think there was intrigue. I think there was mystery. I think there was research. And I think we walked each other through the pain of unmet expectations when all the things we know are going to happen aren't happening the way we think they're going to happen, right? And coming back through that. And it's been a weaning. Have we not been weaned? We've been weaned. We've been weaned off of the teats of our obsessive online streaming communities. I hate to say it, but it's really hard for me. And now there's this growing quiet in my life because I can find you guys, and some of you, it's not easy, but I'm realizing I have work to do, and my work I need to be much more focused. I've decided to turn pro. I've decided that I can't be an amateur anymore. I was a pretty epic amateur in a lot of ways. I did a lot of stuff, but compared to where I need to be in my personal life, in my responsibilities toward the things God's calling me to do, and in my art and my music, and also my mentoring and coaching, I think it's time I turned pro. Because as an amateur, when the winds of adversity would hit, I didn't have to, Sandra, I didn't have, if you don't have to show up, there'll be something else that can suck your time, whether it's your parenting or your day job, that'll just force you into the pro category. And then all these other things that need addressing, you just force them into the hobby side. Well, it doesn't matter if I do that or if I don't do that or however that happens, or whether I get over myself or don't. Thanks, Sandra. Getting over things. But what I'm saying is that when you're weaned from the stimulus of the streaming and the broadcasters and the 17D codes and the what's going to happen next in the in 45 and all of these things, it was just a constant drumbeat of stimulation and drama. And part of what I believe God, it's been painful and it's been hard. We have been in a detoxing, decompressing, destimulating time because we've all got things to do. I remember back a year ago, when I did my broadcast Burning the Mask, like a year ago, I was ready like 2 days in. I was like, this is bullshit. I'm sorry. This is mind control. This is propaganda. Does anybody see where they're heading with this? Yeah, I saw this in February, March. And by April, I was doing my Burn the Mask thing. Got myself into freaking hot water. You thought I was out there shooting puppies. Okay. And here we are, a year later, okay, with this thing kind of grinding and pressing at us. And I think that I've thought to myself, well, I know God is doing this awakening. I know there's this prophetic significance. I know 45 is our guy. He's going to be in. He's not done. I know what the Lord has said. That's so clear. So I'm sure I can make it till November 3rd. Oh, yeah. That's kind of the pain of being a groundbreaker, a pioneer. I don't know that I'm always prophetic in the sense that, talk to people, they'll be telling you, well, this and this and this, but I do see things. And I thought to myself, if I can just get through November 3rd, by the 4th, he'll be settled, things will be settled, and he'll start taking care of business. And the next thing you know is COVID's going to disappear because we know it was politicized, and the masks are going to go away. I just know it. Just get me through November 3rd. really, right? And then stretching beyond that, and stretching into different dates and different things and different disappointments. And now it's starting to become clear. How did I not see this coming? If I'm so smart, how did I not see this coming? How did I not realize that we became addicted? I don't think any of us saw savior complex. We just thought that the tip of the spear would be enough to bring us through. And the Lord said, what about you all becoming the tips of the spear? What about you all? Hindsight is 2020, and you would have to say 2020, Sandra, because I don't even like to think 2020. But we are all becoming the tips of the spear. We are all now settling down into, okay, I'm taking care of business. I'm taking care of business. I'm showing up. I'm taking care of business. I'm the tip of the spear. I am the great awakening. I am this. That's not stopping. That's not changing. And then you get to the point, hey, Twitch, nice. And you get to the point, you go, well, then I better turn pro in my own life. I better stop letting my emotions determine. And it's been an emotional roller coaster, hasn't it? So I've been talking about turning pro and the difference between being an amateur and a pro. And I learned this from an author named Pressman, who I like, except for that he jumped way off into the esoteric New Age pool. But he had some good points. And so I'm thinking about that. And I'm realizing that I'm looking for that group of people that's ready to turn pro. So if you're one of the 10 people who's ready to turn pro, then you need to reach out to me, and I will put my email in here, because I'm going to do a no more than 10-person mastermind, intense 14-week mentoring program to really go deep on the fear-free living thing, on the whole package, the spirit, soul, body part, the brain retraining, the life story retraining, the emotional healing changing, the all the things that I put into the pieces here. And it's not for free. It's not extravagant, but it ain't cheap. And so I'm looking for people who are ready for that level of focus, those micro communities where you are ready to dig in. Okay. So you're going to hear me talking about that. And that is not just so that I can gather for, the purposes of what I feel I need to do. Me forcing that and talking about it is going to catalyze you to find your micro communities for what you've got to do. Who's right in your niche, who's right in your alley, who's ready to do the thing that you need to do, who's not going to balk at the time, energy, and money commitment to grow, right? So you're going to need to begin to be really focused on who and what you have time to do and what you no longer have time to do. Because we're not going to sit around and wait for the guy with the big S on his shirt to come and fix everything. He's coming. I think we're going to see the shift. We know what God is doing. We know he's not done with 45 by any means. But in the meantime, don't you have some pro work to do? And so here we go. If you are interested, email me, and we'll talk about what it looks like to be. It's right there, julie.lavender@dreamfarm.vision. And we'll talk about what it would be like to be in a very exclusive, no more than 10-person mentoring group. And because of the synergy of doing it, I have a minimum too of people that need to be there and to be there for each other in order to make it work. And this is to catalyze you into thinking about, who do you have time for? Who don't you have time for? What is it worth to you? Why do we have to now become that tip of that spear? What is now happening in this time where we're being quieter and quieter, less broadcast time, less streaming time, less of this kind of thing, because now the things are coming out from the inside. The things we had to do, we were ready to do in 2019, that got sidelined, right? The things that got put off were there, and we were waiting for the big, the big epic reveal to make things better. Well, we're going to go make things better now for ourselves, because that's how we turn pro. And to realize that the fear-free life has nothing to do with how you feel. When I say nothing, feelings are a result of input, training, learning, responses, behaviors, healing. Feelings grow in the soil and the environments based on what we have planted in them. So the fear-free life has less and less to do with how you feel, right? How you feel about anything. So, I got to tell you, one of the things that will mess me up, especially kind of after I was in the hospital and people want to go, how are you? How do you feel? I think one of the worst, and I was talking to my friend today, and one of the worst things I think we can ask each other is, how you feel? How you feeling? How you feeling? How do you feel? How do you feel? Or even, how are you doing? How are you doing? Don't you feel like how are you doing is another way of saying how are you feeling? Don't you think that? What if, because when anybody stops to ask me, hey, how are you? How are you doing? How are you feeling? People ask me that. I feel from the very beginning of that, hi, how are you thing, even that, I feel an internal tension, because something inside me really wants to self-focus. Something inside me wants to go, ooh, how do I feel? How am I doing? How am I? And the first thing I can easily call up in any setting where someone's asking me how I am, how I feel, how I'm doing, is a check for the negative. I can feel it. I can feel this almost like, I just want to make sure I'm okay before I answer this question. I just want to see if I'm going to make it through another day before I say something nice. Now, some of you are different. Some of you are just all into denial. So people will say, how are you? Fine, 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 fine. And you don't think about it, and you blow it off, and you don't care. And maybe you need to be thinking and being aware that there's some pain there and some things going on. I'm just saying that I got enough self-awareness of my feelings. And when somebody asks me how I am and how I'm doing, I want to go deep into, I just better check to see before I answer. And if things aren't just right, I have this inner urge to just talk about it. See if I can just, life sucks. It's been a hard week. I was in the hospital, and what they said, that warfare thing. I mean, I don't know, am I just the only one out there? And I've learned, and I have to keep learning, that my fear-free life answers that question this way. This is what I say. And I can feel that I don't want to say it. I feel like I'm not sure. People go, how are you? And my stock answer that I say, and I make myself say more times than not, is I say, I couldn't be any better if I was two people. That's my answer. I couldn't be any better if I was two people. Because my dad said it, I thought it was kind of cute. It makes people stop. It interrupts my self-obsessed cycle, because when people start asking me to assess how I am, I can do it. I know I'm a very aware person. I can give you the full, the 411. I could go into it. I'm verbal. Haven't you heard? Haven't you figured that out? I can go on here for half an hour a day and just keep talking. How am I doing? How am I? I couldn't be any better if I was two people. It breaks the brain obsession with that question, or very often I just go, I'm good. I'm good. Stop it. Bam. But I want us to be aware that for many of us, that question, how are you? How do you feel? How are you doing? Sends us right down the crapper of self-assessment to just see, well, am I? And becoming aware of the first negative feeling that comes up, it makes us feel threatened. Like, ooh, I don't know, maybe I'm scared. There's some anxiousness. I feel some anxiousness. And I want you to know that one of the skills of fear-free living is not the feeling part. It's the pro part where you go, you know what? You want to know something? I'm good. Can be any better if I was two people? Yeah. I have a friend who says stuff like, I'm blessed and highly favored of the Lord. You know, that's a little religious sounding for me, but it's cool. I try that sometimes. Sometimes I say that. I'm blessed and highly favored of the Lord. It's important because I'll tell you why. The minute you get that deep scope turned down and inward on, am I really safe? Am I really okay? It's undermining. Be aware of that. Be aware of undermining questions during the day. I even thought it was a brilliant idea. It must have been the Holy Spirit. We were talking about how if you ask people how they're doing, and some people will purposely default to the worst possible news, even though that you know there could have been good ones, good, better than I deserve, but Jesus help me out with that. Yeah. And you know, I get the better than I deserve, but to me, that's kind of a little bit of a downer, you know? It kind of, again, it sort of turned, to me, that feels a little turned inward, you know, I don't know, you know, I kind of want to go, I'm pro, so I show up, which means I've got what I need. I am what I am by the grace of God, and that's it. Let's move on. Move out of that as quickly as you possibly can. Fear is very self-involved. Fear is very self-obsessive. Anxiousness is very self-involved. It's obsessed with the state of our security at all times. And so maybe the better question to ask somebody is, hey, tell me something good about what's happened to you this week. Hey, got a good story for me? Anything good happened this week? Hey, was there any improvement in that situation? I haven't seen you in a long time. Can you tell me? Can you tell me what was a point of progress for you this week? I'd like to hear that. What if we reframed that it's where you are? Yeah, well, you know what, Liberty Joe? At least you're aware enough to not be, you know, just caving. But I've been doing some shows about, turning pro over the last week, and those might encourage you. But I'm wondering if we need to shift putting other people in that situation of obsessive self-evaluation and feeling thinking. Instead go, hey, haven't seen you in a long time. What's a great thing that happened to you this week? Hey, have you seen some improvement? What improvement have you seen in that situation? Wow, I'll bet you've been enjoying such and such. Tell me, did you see some good sunsets? Wow, you know, I know the weather was a little funky last week, but wow, what about the shift today in the weather? Did you feel that? Hey, I know you know, had that injury working out, but hey, how are you seeing? What's working for you? Hey, what's working for you in your next step forward? Could we begin to frame the how are you question differently for the people around us and differently in our minds? So when we hear that, hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you? Are you okay? Ooh, you know, it's instead of, oh gosh, I don't know. You know, I mean, think about it. I just really had a shitty morning, you know, and they're going, hey, tell me what's working for you this week. What's coming together in your life? Tell me about that. Tell me what's up. What is up? And I mean that literally. Hey, tell me what's up in your life. What's moving forward? How are you handling that thing while you take that step? And to see how easy it is to kind of go into the dark or something. I don't know. How are you doing? How are you handling that? It's just a thought. It's just a little tip. It's just a little thought, because it's amazing how the moment we move into amateur mode where we feel like we can be off duty for being present and competent in our life, depending on how we feel. Part of being a pro is being competent to take on the day, competent to have a good day, competent to get my work done, competent to overcome. And by putting myself in a situation in my attitude that I get an excuse not to be competent if I don't feel up to it, probably not a good idea. Just a thought. Okay, so I'm going to put it in here one more time. Julie.lavender@marinefarm.vision. If you want information on being on my very intense, focused, freedom-bringing mastermind group, email me. We'll talk about it. Got to get a minimum of a certain number of people, but absolutely no more than 10. All right? And we would work together for like 14 weeks. Why not? Why shouldn't we do it? What's keeping you? Where's your mastermind group? Who are your besties that aren't going to let you waste your time, right? Who are your besties that are going to make sure you show up and not let you off the hook? Huh? All right. Go do something that scares you. Maybe like send me that email, and I'll talk to you soon.